What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now Plus. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about Directive 8020. We got it, ladies and gentlemen. I know a lot of people, there's a specific subset of people, online that are very interested in these Dark Pictures games. I'm one of you. I think we all make a very good team here, and this one looks really cool. I gotta be real. There's actually kind of two parts to this that I want to talk about, right? The trailer itself is fun, and it's different, and, I don't know, it just scratches like an itch that you want one of these games to scratch. There's actually something specific I found in the PlayStation blog that talked about, more of the details about this game. You see it for, a split second in the trailer, and I want to kind of walk through the story of, what I thought was happening and then what we confirmed. I'm really impressed by this, and I always get really excited for these games, and then half the time they let me down. We've talked about that in the past, right? Some of the Dark Pictures games I actually think are quite good. House of Ashes I think is actually the best one. Man of Medan, while originally I didn't really like, is actually much better than I thought it was. Little Hope, The Devil in Me I really didn't like. That's kind of my short story, on these games. But this game looks really cool. So in terms of the story, you get an okay look at it in the trailer, but basically Earth is dying, right? So there's very few people alive. Basically a group of people left, a colony ship, and they're searching, whether it's for ways to save it or just for new life, whatever it might be. Classic, cliche, but it's fine, right? So they're leaving, and then they get themselves into a problem, right? And they find basically this species that can mimic themselves. So you see that in the trailer with that happening, I guess, and in the game, you'll be playing as 5 different people. You'll play as them multiple times. It's about trust. It's about, who do you trust, because they can look like you, they can act like you, and as always with these games, you make decisions whether they can live or die. The big thing that you notice for a split second in the trailer, there's a moment of stealth. There's a moment where a character, I don't even know if it's the main character, but there's a moment where a character hides behind something, and it looks very different than anything we've ever seen with these Dark Picture games, and I noticed it. When you go on the PlayStation blog, they make a point that they have completely redesigned that gameplay to be able to have the characters have stealth, which might not sound like a big deal to people, but if you know the history of these games, which I've talked about actually quite a bit, one of my biggest complaints with these games is the lack of innovation, right? They peaked, in my opinion, with Until Dawn. Even technology-wise, the faces, how good it looks, kind of peaked at Until Dawn. It got a little better, I guess, but generally, they were ahead. And Until Dawn was ahead of the time, because it still looks good now, even without the remaster remake coming out, right? When you get to Little Hope, when you get to House of Ashes, when you get to The Devil in Me or The Quarry, they're not at the top of their game anymore. And I mean, that's tough love for me, because I want their games to be good. Until Dawn is one of my all-time greats. But the reason I emphasize this so much is it's something I've called out for, honestly, 5 years or so on YouTube, is their biggest problem is they make these games too fast, and they don't have time to reinvent the wheel. They're just kind of, replacing things. They're doing like EA Sports, where you just don't have enough time to actually do anything. In this game, it seems like that's not true, right? Which makes me, even just reading about it, makes me very happy. Now, maybe it doesn't work at the end of the day, but just hearing that they kind of, redesigned it, and there is going to be stealth, and that's a big part of this game, and that these characters are going to be able to do gameplay things that you haven't been able to do in 9 years is pretty impressive to me. And it shows, okay, they needed time. They just needed time with this game. And that kind of leads to one of the bigger things with this game. So it's coming out in 2025. There was never really hope with me that it was coming out in 24. The fact that they showed it now was oh man, could they actually release the casting of Frank Stone and this game within 2 months of each other? I didn't think it was going to happen, but I guess it was a small hope. No, 2025, right? Basically all modern day systems, and so to kind of cover that one. But hey, if this is their fall 2025 game, that's fantastic, right? The game looks good. The game looks different. It's interesting, the trailer kind of coming around that new Alien movie, right? It feels like a pretty okay time to do something like this, even though, coming out a year later. But I like the idea. I really do like the idea of, and in the PlayStation blog, again, they focus on the trust, and you're gonna have to be able to kind of discern if a person is trustworthy or not. Here's the thing with me, just a quick fun thing. The thing with me in a lot of these games is I default to trust, right? If a character comes in halfway and they kind of play it, unless they're overtly evil, where you can tell they're just there to mess with you, and they're not really being true to their word, right? But if I If they don't have any of those kind of characteristics, if they feel even like 80% trustworthy, I'm willing to like give them very close information about, not in real life, but in video games. I'm willing to give them info. I'm willing to invite them to the gang. Very few times have I done the opposite. Maybe like Clementine in The Walking Dead, because Lee told her in my game to, not trust people, or at least I did that. So then I followed that through. I had Clementine not trust people. There's been a few times, but generally, like a game like this, I think I'm going to really struggle, because I can imagine that I'm going to invite the species that's there to kill you. I'm going to invite them into my personal group, and it's going to backstab me really, really quickly. But no, I'm very excited for this game. I think one of the highlights of Gamescom. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.